Mark Rogers TV talking Rose Bowl, and we've talked nuts and bolts with personnel and matchups and X's and O's and all that sort of thing. But I love the perspective we get from Kelly Rippin from Fox 17 there in Nashville. Hey, Kelly.
Good morning.
Yes, good morning. For me, it's just kind of an extended night with a little nap in between.
Yeah. For me, I guess it's almost my 5 o'clock, so I should maybe be getting a drink somewhere here in a little bit.
Yeah, it's like midday. But you're going to do the good thing and go to the gym.
I am. I'm going to be very good, and then I got to go do some Christmas returns and try to rehab from the holiday as I prepare for my first New Year's not working in TV news in 6 years. Well,
nice.
I'm still working in news, but it's on a weekend, so I actually get to enjoy it, which is kind of
So is that New Year's Eve and New Year's Day?
Yes. It's so wild. I don't even know. And I'm terrible at it. I already don't know what I'm doing. I should have a plan. I'll be going to the Titans game on New Year's Day, even though that game doesn't matter for them anymore. But I haven't been to one all season. So that's the one I had planned to go to. And now it's the one that doesn't actually matter. But it'll be fun.
And I understand it's been pretty warm out. So maybe it'll extend through the holidays and you'll actually have like a September kind of football game.
Warm-ish. I mean, considering what I've grown up with, it's going to be fine. I'm not worried at all. But yeah, I think we're getting some rain, which is not great. But I think 40s and rain, again, there's a difference between 40s and rain in Nashville and 40s and rain in Pittsburgh. I was just home this last weekend and man, I'm like, oh, it's so icky and gray and gloomy. And I'm looking at pictures of Nashville and everyone's outside in the sun enjoying the holiday. I'm like, oh man, I gotta get back south at least for a little while.
Yeah, we actually thought it was nice in the north. We thought this is really really balmy.
Well, that's what my going. It's beautiful outside. I'm like, no, it's not. No, it's not.
All right, Kelly, for the real reason you're here, Penn State. How did we get here? How did this happen?
Yeah, that's a fantastic question. I'm still trying to figure that out. It's been a fun ride, though. I actually got to go to the Big Ten championship game in Indy, which was awesome. The first half, not awesome at all. The second half, a really good time. But it's this team, and it's kind of their MO a little bit of, we're going to start out kind of quiet and see how it goes. And they pull out a couple of wins every year that has people talking. This year, they just kept pulling them out, and it kept happening over and over again. And, I have had my doubts, and I'm still sticking to a couple of them, but it's been so much fun to watch this team climb up in the rankings and play week after week. I hate the whole second half team thing. It's not something that I ever want to rely on because, there's going to be a game where that just doesn't work, which I think we saw with Pitt. But no, it's been awesome. And I'm really, really excited for this bowl game.
Well, I have you on just because it's a fun discussion regardless, but all our discussions have been, well, hopefully 7-5, maybe we'll pull off an upset. Michigan State, Ohio State, they're just so good. It's not going to happen this year. And then, like you say, well, what's really fun is when you have the comeback. So you're right there in Indy. You're losing 28-7. Well, you don't know it at the time, but that almost made it probably even more fun that you have this tremendous comeback in the second half when you were probably kind of resigned to, yeah, we could still win, but this may not happen.
Oh, I was done. I was like, all right, let's go. I don't need to stay here. Like, I can go sit at the bar and watch this. Like, I was ready to leave, which it was a shame because Lucas Oil is inside. You're not cold. You're not in any kind of elements. Like, it's a great facility. But I was just mad because you knew what Wisconsin was going to do. You knew they were going to run the ball. And I didn't understand why we weren't trying to stop that the entire game. And then, they just needed to kind of sync up and get into their pattern that they do. But no, you're right. It made the second half a lot of fun. But I will say the first half I was, arms folded, being all pouty and not happy. But it was a great turnout of fans. I mean, everywhere I seemed to look was Penn State. Now, once I got in there, I was surprised the number of Wisconsin fans that actually were in attendance. And it kind of seemed split from my view in the arena or the stadium. But it was fun for me to be there and walk around. I agree. It probably made the experience more fun. But going back to what I said, I don't want to be always the second half team because someday that's just not going to work out for us. So I think they're going to have to play a little bit of a different ball game when it comes to the Rose Bowl.
I think the last time we talked was prior to the Pitt game. That didn't work out. That was kind of a toss-up game, so it wasn't like it wasn't expected or unexpected. That could have gone either way. Then Penn State goes to Michigan. They get handed just however you want to phrase it. That was just awful and ugly. And walking off the field, there is just how in the world did it go from there 49-10 to beating the likes of Ohio State and even decent teams like Minnesota and dominating Iowa and defeating Wisconsin and just for a team that had nothing tangible to believe in. I'm sure they believed in themselves, obviously,
Right.
that the fruitions turned out, but to have nothing tangible to depend on and say, hey, we've got a track record we can rely on, and just to have this second half belief is just kind of crazy.
I think Trace McSorley has done, I think he's really grown, and I think we've kind of watched it happen the entire season, and even still, sometimes when he puts the ball in the air, I'm like, I kind of take that deep breath, wondering if it's actually going to where he had it planned on going. So I think, but he's young, and I think watching him evolve and become more confident, become a little sure, you can almost see the decision making happening a little more fluidly and faster as he's going to have to, and that's been fun to watch. I think at first that part wasn't there. So maybe when we were playing Pitt, those things were not kind of in place. And Saquon Barkley obviously is just unreal. And I hope he has a really good game because I want more people to see him and know him. And I know football people know him and see him, and Penn State people do. But I think this will kind of expose him to a totally different crowd and kind of get his name even more so out there. But no, I mean, that Ohio State game, I had actually been at the Preds game. I'm like, oh, after this game, like, there's no way, there's not a chance. Like, I'll watch it. I was watching on my phone and keeping up it was actually the Preds playing the Penguins. So my hometown hockey team and the team that I live in, city. And all of a sudden the game was over. I got to meet my friends and I just glued. I mean, and it was funny. I mean, Nashville, there's really not a lot of Penn Staters. We got a pretty solid alumni group that we watch the games with every week, but everyone was glued to that game from all over the country. No one actually had any kind of horse in that race, and everyone was cheering for Penn State. So it was really fun for me to watch that game kind of evolve. And then after that, I'm like, okay, could be a fluke, but I feel like we're cooking with something here. I feel like something more is happening. And then you saw it, like you said. I mean, even when it came to the Michigan State game, I was nervous. I thought, hey, things have been going well. They've been building up this confidence. Are they going to be too confident going into this game? Michigan State's not been playing well, but they always put up a pretty good game against Penn State. And, when it all started to fall together again in the second half, I'm like, this team's doing it. I still have my reserve feelings about James Franklin, but
that, of course, was going to be my question at some point. You knew that was coming.
I've been getting hammered on Twitter about that, and I'm sticking to my guns. I'm not just flopping and saying, no, he's a great coach. I love him so much. Never doubted him for a second. I hope I am wrong, and I hope there is madness. I just don't always see it. Clearly, he's being successful. I can't say that he's not successful at Penn State. He's doing well. I just feel like sometimes play call or kind of getting on to something that the rest of the world is seeing takes him a little longer. I don't know. I'm still holding off.
Well, you're a sports fan. Sports fans are emotional. So we're emotional as sports fans. So I try to approach this as neutral and systematic and analysis and all that. But as a sports fan, we're all emotional. So the way I view that is you can't really necessarily, you could say, okay, if James Franklin accomplishes this, he's officially going to be my man. But it's you can't do that. It's just kind of a feeling that at some point he's going to have proved it in some fashion.
Yeah, and I don't know what that is yet. It's not going to be this win. I'll tell you right now, I'm not going to all of a sudden convert and become, a follower of James Franklin. I don't know what it is. I think for me, and this is probably a weird, underlying tone of my whole life, it's going to have to be consistency with him. Yes, he has consistently won game after game this season, but going forward from here, what's going to be kind of the projection for next year? And can he live up to that projection? Can he fulfill all of these dreams that he has already this year? And when you go up against coaches like Urban Meyer and Harbaugh, you're talking about really unbelievable coaches that, you can't discount. And that's actually why I went to the Big Ten championship game. I'm like, this is such a crazy position that we ended up in here. We lost to Michigan, but we beat Ohio State. We're in the Big Ten championship game. Like, I don't know if this is all going to fall like this again, to where I can just drive up to Indianapolis and attend this game. So that was all the convincing I needed to just take a quick road trip. But we'll see. I think you're right. And I don't know that he'll ever be like my man, but I maybe will give him less flack down the road as this continues. We'll see.
I would hope so if this continues, because they're really good. They have accomplished a ton. They navigated a difficult schedule. They beat Ohio State. They beat Wisconsin. They're the Big Ten champions, and the Big Ten might be the best conference in America. They have accomplished a ton this year.
Yeah, I love when people say that, just because living in SEC territory, all I hear the whole time is like, SEC football is Big Ten football. I'm like, well, you guys have Alabama, and they're very good, but let's just pump the brakes there. Yes, I think consistency next year. I do like how he seems to connect with players. I think I had a little bit of a bad taste in my mouth coming from the Bill O'Brien into the James Franklin regime with, Hackenberg seemed very disconnected from him and, frankly, just didn't do well under him. Now that's one player. But I also felt like I kind of got that vibe from more than just him in that class. So I think maybe I'm holding on to some past issues that I should probably go ahead and let go. Hopefully that's not also an underlying theme in my life. But no, I think next year will be a very big test for him. And I think he saved his own behind this year by being so successful, which is good. You don't want a lot of turnover in coaches. I want these players to have consistent coaches. And at the end of the day, I think these players have been how this has all kind of formed and turned out. And it's been a fun ride. It's been fun to watch.
Vegas only has one more chance to get this wrong, and it looks like they may, because again, they're giving you, I'm not going to say no shot. It's not like it's a 15-point spread, but you're a solid touchdown underdog again.
Which, I don't necessarily disagree with. I always say, and I talk about the Steelers a lot too, I think the Steelers play the best when their backs are against the wall. I don't feel differently about Penn State. I kind of have a similar sentiment of they play some of their best football when they aren't favored to win, when there is a question of how they're going to perform. I think there's that extra like, all right, we're going to go out there and prove this person wrong, the world wrong, whatever. But, USC, I was reading the other day, I mean, they have it across the board. And I think that's the difference in where Penn State has some strengths and weaknesses. I think USC's got a lot of strengths, kind of not maybe at the top of every list, but in a pretty solid place when it comes to offense and defense and special teams. I think they've got a really solid playing field. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I've got a coworker who's a USC graduate who has started already talking smack about 3 weeks ago. So he's mad that I'm not giving it back to him yet, but I figured I'd just wait until we got closer to the time before we start going back and forth at each other.
Well, for you and for everybody who thinks Vegas is never wrong, they were wrong on 3 consecutive bowl games yesterday, and they've been wrong. I think the count is now 9 out of 20 bowl games have been underdogs winning the game.
Huh. That's the fun of bowl games. That's why people still watch bowl games. I mean, there are how many of them at this point anymore?
41.
I know. I did one of those pick 'em ranking with the scores on ESPN, I think. I didn't even really know which games I was picking on or how confident or not confident I was in my decision making, which means I'll probably win it, since I wasn't really, investing too much of my time or energy into it. But, that's why people still watch, is these games turn every year. And the Big Ten last year, bowl games did really, really well. So I would be very happy to see them be wrong. I would be more than happy. I wish I could go. I have a lot of friends that are going. But just wasn't in the cards for me this year to get out there on a Monday. But I think it'll be a good game. I hope it is. And again, I'd be grateful for that, just because my anxiety and my stress, I can't take it. I'm too young for all of that.
Well, Kelly, it's been fun to watch. Not a Penn State fan. So I got the best of both worlds in a sense here, because Ohio State still made the playoff. But it's been fun to watch Penn State.
Yes.
pull off this miraculous, and I won't get your opinion on that whole thing unless you want to throw it out there, because I'm sure there was a level of disappointment in not making the playoff, but there was just so much euphoria.
It kind of went both ways. It was a little bittersweet, I'll say, at the Big Ten championship, because I'm like, we won. This is awesome. This is so cool. I am so happy that I was here for this moment. This team is elated. But in an hour, we're all going to be real disappointed. And, I think I already knew going into it, thought maybe there was a chance, kind of had a feeling. But you know what? I almost, as much as I'm bummed out about it, and I kind of wish they could have gotten their chance, I'm not, because I think the Rose Bowl is a really great platform for this team to perform on and to play. I mean, going up against Alabama would have just, is that even fun? I don't know what would have happened. I can't say that we would have lost, but that's a different football game entirely happening. So I think, I don't know. I'm not mad about it. I'm not. I think all of us have to be very grateful, considering where we thought the season was starting, to be in the Rose Bowl. I'm pumped for that game. And I think, gives them a little taste of it and maybe makes them want to get it even more next year.
I love the attitude. Penn State, unexpected, like a 7-5 projection, Big Ten champions, Rose Bowl, could beat USC. They're number 5 in the country. It's all good.
I'll take it.
Kelly Rippin from Fox 17 helping us break down, well, in our own kind of way, break down the Rose Bowl from the We Are. What's your chant? I always get this wrong because there's so many college chants out there. What's the
We Are Penn State is the one that they do in the stadium that I still get all kinds of chills about. There's all kinds, but that's the main one that they get pretty nuts for in the stadium.
They are definitely indeed We Are Penn State this season. Very proud to be. Kelly, thank you so much. It's always a fun talk. Enjoy the Rose Bowl. I hope it turns out for you.
Me too. Hoping Vegas is wrong.
All right, we'll catch you next time.